Hi everybody, it's Janet at String Theory. I'm at my home office again today, and it snowed on Monday, and so I thought I'd give you an update of my snow projects. If you didn't know, I've been casting on a new project every time it snows to celebrate the snow and an excuse to cast on new projects. So the first project that I casted on was my sweater, and this is a picture of what it looks like now. I need to do 14 inches from the armhole. It's a top-down sweater. It's called Dalen by Isabel Kramer, and I have about 8 inches. I'm at that stage where I keep knitting and knitting and knitting, and every time I measure it, it measures 8 inches. So I'm not sure exactly what's happening, but I'm going to start putting in a marker where I start and then knit so I can actually see progress. So if you need that gratification of making progress, there's a tip for you. Just stick a pin marker in there when you start and knit for a while and go, oh yeah, look, I just knit an inch. This sweater has been really fun to do. It's made out of the Lucky Tweed, and you can sort of see, can you see all the tweedy bits in there? There's blue and white, and I love this pattern in particular because we've got the contrast of the stockinette and the garter stitch, and so the tweedy bits show up more, I think, in the garter stitch, but I like the contrast. I wanted also to show you this because I've used several different techniques or tips that I've gotten from different people to make a top-down sweater easier. And so I wanted to show you some of those. One is when you do a top-down sweater, you get to a point, you do the yoke, and you get to a point where you need to put the sleeves on a stitch holder, and then you work the body. And so stitch holders, often, you know, like the big safety pin ones, they're good if you just need a few stitches. But if you're gonna do a whole sleeve, you want something longer. In the past, I might put through just cut off a length of yarn and stick that in there. But sometimes that sticks to the stitches. And so I got this tip from Lori Versace, and I just love it. So instead, I use this plastic cord we sell in the store, and it slides through very easily, slides out very easily. You just cut off as much as you need, and then just tie a little knot. You can see. So just tie a little knot, and it keeps all your stitches on. Reusable. You can use it over and over and over again, which I find very handy. And then on this side, you can see you can put there's a hole because it is like a tube, and I've just stuck one of my smaller interchangeable needles, and you can put it into the opening, and then this just slides through when you're trying to scoop the stitches, you know, at the beginning onto your needle. And you can also, I've done it with a tapestry needle as well. You can stick a tapestry needle in there, and it just gives you a nice point to get through all your stitches when you're trying to get them. And then, of course, you know, it just comes right off. The other thing that I've been doing on this is when I do increases or decreases, if you can see this, I put in a removable stitch marker every time I do it. Now in this particular case, the sweater, I don't know if I can make this visible in here. It's kind of on here, but the sweater has a garter stitch front, and then the stockinette back kind of starts to wrap around because you do a decrease of the garter stitch section and an increase in the stockinette section. And so I'm getting an angle like across the front, which I can't really show you at this point, but it's getting there. But anyway, so every 6 rows, I need to do it an increase and a decrease. And I just put the marker in there, and then I can visually see, oh yeah, I see it. I can just count up makes it easier. I can read my knitting. I can really examine, if I had to, and find a decrease or increase. But this makes it so much easier. And then the other thing that you can use these for, if you're doing a sleeve and you've got the sleeve decreases and it says decrease, 6 times or 8 times or whatever, if you have these markers on there, you can just count the markers rather than counting, going in and going, okay, I did 1, I did 2, whatever. So highly recommend that. And then the other thing, which I don't need so much anymore, but is really good at the beginning, when you're doing a top-down sweater and you've got markers at the front and then at the sleeves, and you're increasing every time you hit the marker or whatever. It's nice to have markers that are different. So I have this set that we sell at the store, A through L, I think there are, and we also have numbers if that's easier for you. And so you just know, okay, the beginning of the round is A, and then the sleeves are B and C, and sometimes I'll even write in on my pattern. I know Marie Green on a lot of her patterns will actually indicate, go over to marker A and do this, and then go over to B and do this, and it just makes it much easier to keep track of where your sleeves are and what you're doing. So those are my tips for this, and I keep chugging along. This is mindless knitting, but it's so I can pick it up all the time, but it's getting big, so it's not so portable. So I don't find myself taking it around very much, but if I'm tired at the end of the day and just want to knit on something, this is what I pick up. So the next project that I did, I think, was the cowl, and the cowl I did right away. Did that out of the Surya, that thick and thin, beautiful merino and silk blend, bright yellow with a fringe on it. I don't have it because it's sitting in the store as a sample. So that was the second one. Then the third snow that we've had, I did this, cast on these socks. This is the Super Ellipse sock by Lori Versace. It's a slip stitch pattern, so you're only using one yarn in any given row. I loved this. I thought it was going to be super hard and to keep track, and it was going to take all this concentration, and it just flies. Just absolutely flies. It has an afterthought heel and then the toe. And I'm just really, really excited about wearing these socks. And then on Monday, or Sunday night, I guess, it started to snow, and I was like, is this really snow? There were just a couple little flakes. And then when I got up on Monday morning, and yes, indeed, we did have visible snow on the grass. And so I thought, I gotta cast something else on. I've got a couple gifts that I can't really publicize. So what am I gonna do? So what I did was I cast on my second sock, because if anybody who has second sock syndrome knows, the first sock is really easy. The second sock is the one that's a challenge. So as soon as I bound off this on Monday, and I cast on my second sock before I got up from the couch, which is the way to do it, so that you've got it on the needles, and I'm already pretty far. So yeah, this is Knitted Wit, and it's a combination of a holiday color, which is the Indigenous Peoples Day, and then Her Story, I think from November, which was Alice Waters, and it's a really pretty purple with some life in it. So that's the Alice Waters, and that's the Indigenous Peoples Day. So loving how these are coming out, and I'm really excited because I'm gonna get to wear them soon. So there might be snow in the forecast coming up. I do watch it. It's been really fun to see how motivating this is to me when I see, it's gonna snow in a week, I better get something done and work harder, work faster on these projects. So it's been a really fun challenge. And if you are also casting on every time it snows, I'd love to see what you're doing. So stop by the store sometime and show us. Thanks so much. Bye.